All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're going to kick off the second RMA trade webinar. So first off, thanks everybody for joining me. My name is Tyler Hanneman. I'm the Manager of Business Development at RMA. So I manage that client relations team across Canada. And today we are continuing with our vendor highlight, and we have Armtec with us. They're going to be going over their Bridge in a Box product that falls under our RFP and contract. But before we jump into that, I'm just going to do some housekeeping. So with the webinars, we're going to keep running them second Wednesday of every month. So March 10th will be our next webinar. We're going to have MI Petro come on to talk some fuel management systems with you folks. And then we are going to be giving some updates. Sorry. So we do continue to post our RFPs throughout the year. We have just recently closed our aggregate RFP. It's in the evaluation process, and we are working through a wastewater works RFP. So we hope to have that done and awarded, and hopefully on the next webinar I can give you guys an update on that. In regards to the RMA convention, it will be fully digital this year. We are not going to be doing a digital trade show at this time. We just didn't feel it was worth it. And I guess before we jump into the presentation itself, if you do have any questions, please use the Q&A box or the chat function. I'll read through them at the end, so you can ask Frank or Ron anything specific about the product or about the presentation or about the contract, and hopefully one of us will be able to answer that. So without further ado, we have Frank Kleda, the Regional Sales Manager for Armtec in Alberta, and Ron Perhitko. He's the Western Canadian Regional Engineer, and they're going to run through the Bridge in a Box product and how it can assist your municipality in this time. So without further ado, gents, I'll turn it over to you, Frank.
Thank you, Tyler. First of all, we appreciate the opportunity. What we're going to do here today is hopefully provide an informative session and tell your membership a little bit more about our Bridge in a Box. We know that the Armtec name is associated with culverts, and everyone seems to know that we do carry culverts, but we did want to share on this new product line that we carry. So with me today is Ron Perhitko, as you had mentioned. He's our Senior Region Engineer for Western Canada, and Ron will be stepping in further into the presentation and sharing with you some of the slides. So just quickly to do a quick overview of Armtec, we're part of the Westman Group, several companies that are part of this group, and we have offices and plants all across Canada, coast to coast. Most of you know that we do supply culverts and highway guardrail, structural plate, HDPE products, but today we're going to share specifically on our Bridge in a Box. So I just wanted to do a quick overview of what we're going to be sharing today. First of all, we're going to talk about why Bridge in a Box, features and benefits. We're going to talk about manufacturing, pre-engineered design, options, meeting Alberta Transportation or AT specs, installation. We're going to share with you some case histories, and also we'll touch on some custom bridge capabilities. Lastly, we'll share on the RMA trade eligibility program. So why Bridge in a Box? As we all know, aging rural bridge infrastructure requires solutions. We know that bridge infrastructure is deteriorating, and we know that there are several bridges in our communities that need replacement or repair. And we often hear from public works managers that they are dealing with issues where bridges have intermediate supports and the clogging of debris and trees becomes a very expensive issue to deal with and resolve. So our Bridge in a Box is a solution that we propose to you because it does eliminate that intermediate support with spans of up to 80 feet or 24.4 meters. Just to touch on some of the features of our bridge, the bridge is supplied in prefabricated steel modular sections. It also complies with the Canadian Highway Bridge Design Code. We can supply in single or double lane widths. We offer various deck and railing options. And ideally, this bridge is suited for low volume roads. It is not suited for major corridors or major roads, i.e. Highway 2 or Highway 43. So this is a perfect bridge for the RM and county membership. Some of the benefits of our bridge in a box are because of the pre-engineered design, it will save on upfront design costs. We do the entire design of the bridge itself. It's modular and is shipped to site pre-assembled. So there's very little actual installation when the bridge gets to site. Typically, our bridges can be installed in 1 day. So the other fact that it can be installed in 1 day eliminates a lot of need for heavy equipment and equipment to be sitting around at site for several days. It's efficient and it generates substantial savings to the owner because of this. The other fact we'd like to touch on is that our product is made in Canada. The material that we source for our product is sourced in Canada and assembled in Brandon, Manitoba and Brantford, Ontario. We also use the latest in state-of-the-art equipment to manufacture our bridges. As you can see in the photo, this is one of our robotic machines that is used in the fabrication of our bridges. The standards that we use are exact and unprecedented in the industry. And that's why our bridge can be manufactured and shipped to site with a very precision or precise fit up. And we also do a test fit at the plant prior to shipping to ensure that the bridge arrives and is installed correctly to specifications. Along with our manufacturing of our bridge, we also supply the highway guardrail on the sides of the bridge. And this guardrail is also test fitted in our plants, again, for ease of installation on site. In regards to design and engineering, Armtec provides in-house design engineering for our bridge. We can supply sealed shop drawings, complete shop drawings for your project. And this slide here just shows and provides some snapshots and screenshots of the different sections of our drawings that are supplied with each and every bridge that we supply. Our bridge in a box also offers you different options for decking. You can see the gravel on the side here. Also, concrete is another option, asphalt or timber planks. We offer different coatings and finishes for our bridges. Weathering steel is probably the most common, but also we can supply galvanized and painted. Most common finishes are the weathering steel, as I mentioned, the galvanized and the painted. And weathering steel provides an opportunity for the steel to just essentially weather over time, and this forms a rust protective layer over the top of the bridge. We also supply various options for railing for your specific project needs. You can supply W-beam or Thri-beam, or if it's more for a logging or resource road, we can and have supplied timber rub wheels or rub wheel guards for your project. Armtec does not provide design assistance or supply the abutments. We can provide solutions for abutments. However, this is the responsibility of the bridge consultant that the owner is working with. We will assist in the design, but we do not supply the bridge abutments. The bridge can be supported by various options or various ways: pile foundations, spread footings, MSE and GRS systems, which is mechanically stabilized earth, or the GRS system. Other options for abutments. This photo here shows Lego blocks, which was a project up in Northwest Alberta. We can also provide the option for Armtec bin wall, which you see in this schematic cross-section below. Here's some other photos which show some other options for structural plate back wall and bin wall, different options on different bridges that we have supplied in the past and are options for us. Again, we don't do the design of the back wall abutment or the bridge abutment, but we can provide assistance and supply the material if one of our products are chosen. Also wanted to touch on that our bridge does meet Alberta transportation standards. So Armtec's bridge in a box does meet the standard for low volume bridges, and that is in respect to bridge width, single lane or double lane. It also meets traffic speed and daily volume of traffic, the AADT, average annual daily traffic. Also the loading, all of our bridges are designed to carry CL 800 loading. So the same loading that you would see on Highway 2 or Highway 43 throughout Alberta. We can supply a bridge that can meet a heavier loading, and we'll touch on that later in the presentation. The guardrail system, as I say, is supplied by Armtec, and it meets the TL1 system of guardrail. We supply a turnkey system in the sense that the bridge comes complete. That's why we call it bridge in a box. Essentially, you take it off the truck and install it essentially all in one day. The TL1 system does meet Alberta Transportation's criteria for low-volume bridges, and we do supply and manufacture the W-beam guardrail in-house at our plant in Guelph, Ontario. Now I'm going to turn it over to Ron. He's going to share with you some installation case histories. So I'll just turn that over to Ron.
Thanks, Frank. You just, yep, good. So yeah, Frank, I'm just going to ask you, can you see my screen all right?
Yeah, you're all good, Ron.
I'm good. Okay, good. Thanks. Yeah, so thanks everyone. Thanks, Frank, for asking me to participate today. I just wanted to show you some slides of a typical installation. So we ship this very efficiently on the back of flatbed trailers, as you see here. You can actually see two sections arriving at site, top loaded, one top loaded on top of the other. This particular bridge had 3 sections, so there were 2 truckloads coming to site. And they're loaded specifically to ensure that when the crane unloads them, they get placed in the proper sequence or order. So the site contractor or whoever you choose is responsible for the crane lift. Of course, the site contractor's got to make sure that the site is accessible for the crane, making sure the ground is level, and that the trailer can back up efficiently so that it can be offloaded. Here you see one of the first sections being placed at this particular bridge site. Armtec is part of our drawings, and part of our work is to provide a lifting lug, and of course they're suitably located for the lifts that you see here, and every bridge is different, so it will be customized to that particular bridge at that crossing. There's also splices that are required. In some cases, in this particular case, there were 3 sections. The splices are bolted on the site. Once one of the holes line up, the rest of the holes are lined up because, as Frank showed earlier, we test fit all of the pieces in our plant before shipping out to the site. So there's never a problem with lining up holes and bolting this on site. So very quickly and easily managed. Between the sections, there's also diaphragm splices. Again, these are test fit in our plant. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner here, the bolts haven't been inserted yet, but the holes are lined up perfectly, just waiting for bolts to be inserted. So this is a very small job, doesn't take very long, but needs to be done and need to have access from underneath the girders. Connecting guide rail posts is the next part of the job. We don't ship these sections with the posts installed. So again, this is another item that needs to be done on site, connecting posts and installing the guide rail system or whatever system that's chosen. Yeah, once that's done, then it's a matter of installing the deck. In this particular case, this is an unpaved road. So the consultant here chose to place clean drain rock in the top deck panels just to ensure and drainage. Then a non-woven geotextile is placed for separation before the final select gravel surface is placed and compacted on the top deck. The bridge is then ready for travel, assuming the approaches can be constructed at that point. Here's a couple of examples. This is one, you've seen a few photos already out in Saskatchewan. This is actually the first installation by the municipality of Brock. And you can see the wheel guards here, a lot of agricultural equipment passing through this crossing. So they elected to go with the wheel guards, and you can see that the signage can also be removed for passing wide equipment over the bridge. Brock also did another installation later that year, close by. Again, you showed you these footings or these photos earlier. Another installation in Manitoba, very similar to the Brock installation. And I think if you look at the before and after pictures, the bottom one here, this is very common of many of the bridge infrastructure right across the prairie. So this is the type of location application that these bridges are specifically targeted to. So at this point, I'll turn it back over to Frank. I'll stop sharing, and Frank, you can take over at that point and finish it off.
Okay, thank you, Ron. I'll just share my screen here. Let me know if you can see this.
Yeah, you're good, Frank. Go ahead.
So also wanted to share one last case history here. This was a project that I worked on back in 2019. And here's a couple of photos of the issues they were having with excess water at site and the grade of the original bridge. And then the superstructure is actually not shown here in this picture, so it's completely gone. But this project here, I remember heading out from Edmonton. It was 7:30 in the morning, and I was heading out to site with my phone to make sure I got the installation pictures. Well, I arrived at 11 o'clock, and essentially the superstructure was all done at that time. So it just goes to show how quick this bridge can really be installed. When I got there, the crew was installing some of the other pieces on the bridge, including the guardrail. So it really went together fairly quickly. And the final picture here of the bridge is shown later on, midsummer, when I arrived at site again for some final pictures. And it certainly did turn out quite well, we thought. So I wanted to share that with you. And then the testimonial from Greg Griffin. Greg was the assembler on site, and he relayed these comments onto us as to how the bridge went together. So this speaks volumes, we believe, on how quickly and efficiently our bridge does go together at site. So lastly, just to touch on some custom bridge applications, we've talked about using them for low volume county roads. The bridges can be used in different applications, such as this project here at the Richmond Country Golf Club. And this was a narrower bridge, only about 8 feet wide, 2.4 meters, 60 feet or 18.28 meters long. And this was supplied with timber railing versus the guardrail W-beam railing. So custom projects are something we can look at. It's just not one of our standard designs. So also other applications, if you have projects moving into oil field access crossings or crossings into industrial plants, we've heard and seen of some communities and RMs and counties in Alberta that have subdivisions that have only one road in. So the emergency access for that second road, our bridge, would certainly be something that could afford an opportunity for your project. Also, golf course applications, and then remote bridge locations, which are ideally suited to our bridge because of the modular style of our bridge and the quick accessibility and installation of our bridge. So getting towards the end of our presentation here, we just wanted to confirm that yes, Armtec's Bridge in a Box is eligible for purchase through RMA Trade. And I thought I'd put this out there. So why order through RMA Trade, and why not just tender the traditional way? So here's some thoughts that I wanted to share with you as to why you might want to consider ordering through RMA Trade. First of all, utilize the buying power of RMA Trade to secure fair and often better than market value pricing. Eliminate contractor markup, which inflates the price on the supply price of the bridge. Eliminate bridge design engineering costs, which can really inflate the price of the bridge and can be quite substantial in some cases. So we do all the bridge design, we supply the stamp drawings. Eliminate administration costs for the tendering process, and ordering through RMA promotes project timelines. As we all know, Alberta's construction season is not very long, and sometimes only 4 or 5 months. So ordering ahead of time, bridge drawings can be completed, fabrication commences prior to contractor award. You can take advantage of the pre-ordering due to the short construction season. So lastly, we wanted to share, of course, on our other products, just quickly, we do have the bridge option, but sometimes the culverts and our large span crossings with our culverts and structural plate are more suitable to your project. So please don't forget about these options if you're looking for a bridge. We'd be happy to help. So if there's any opportunity that you might see of a bridge project in your county or MD, please feel free to reach out to myself and Ron. We would be happy to move forward with the preliminary design and preliminary pricing for you. And lastly, before I turn it over to Tyler, we hope that you've seen something here in our presentation today that has piqued your interest. And if you have, our information will be shown at the end of this presentation. And do feel free to get in touch with us whenever the project requires. Thank you.
Perfect. Awesome. Awesome, Frank. Thank you, Ron. So great presentation, guys. I guess we'll get right into the questions here. We do have some in the box, or some in the question box, and I just want to remind everybody, if you do have those questions, right at the bottom of your screen there should be that Q&A tab. Click it. You can open it up and type in your questions and see what other questions have been asked as well, so you're not getting repeats. So first one we have is, how long a span can bridge in a box accommodate?
Sure. Currently the longest span that we can for one single span would be 80 feet, 24.4 meters. That's currently the longest span that we can provide.
And is there a width with that component as well, or it can be any width with that length?
Yeah, we can supply that bridge in a single or double lane. Typically, the single lane bridges tend to be around 5 meters in width, and the double lane bridges are typically around 8.5 meters in width.
Perfect. What's the timeline, I guess, for the process? From maybe getting that order to figuring out what you need to, I think you guys touched a bit on the installation, but what's like the whole timeline of a project, would you say?
Sure. So this year is a bit of an unprecedented year. As we all know, because of COVID, there are steel shortages happening throughout the industry. The auto industry has scooped up a lot of the steel, so that has impacted a lot of the deliveries. We are now proposing for culverts and structural plate and steel for our bridge in a box. I can tell you that typically drawings can be supplied in 1 to 2 weeks from receipt of PO. And then typically deliveries, I would have to say, would be 8 weeks, but in this unprecedented year, may move out to more like 12 weeks for delivery. But I would encourage you to check in with myself and Ron, and we will provide a delivery date based on current availability, because the prices of steel and the availability of steel is really all over the board these days.
Perfect. And on actual like installation day, I guess, if you can call it that, what's a typical timeline on that?
Ron, you can probably take this question. You've had some on-site experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been on a number of these. So yeah, installing the superstructure, actually, as Frank mentioned, because of his travel out there, was installed in roughly a half a day. So, adding in guardrail and connecting any of the beams and whatnot, that maximum 1 day. So this is assuming the abutments are all completed and whatnot. So, and like I say, there's many different ways abutments can be chosen for these types of bridges. So the design of those usually takes the longest. So getting the abutment design and working with your consultant usually needs to take a little more time. and we work with the consultant of your choice. We can provide some names as well, but of course, we'll work with your consultant to provide them with all the information they need to make sure the drawings coincide with each other. So if that's done up front, the work for construction and installation really does not take that long, really, in about the abutments, depending on what type of abutment, 2 to 3 weeks, and then another couple of days for the superstructure, and then your bridge is open.
Perfect. Awesome. Moving along here, we got one from Brandon Meyer. Has Alberta Transportation given any comment about these inspections or adding them as a standard?
To date, I don't believe they've been added as a standard, but I do know the project that I had up at the MD of Smoky. I know the ATE folks were there and had a look at the bridge, and from my understanding, there were positive comments about it. So that's something we're working on with Alberta Transportation and hope to have our bridge as a standard spec, but to date, no.
Okay.
The Alberta Transportation do have standards for low volume roads for bridges, and our bridge did meet all of those standards. So if hopefully that answers your question. We're not proposing to go and do anything outside of that scope. So as long as it fits in within the definition of low volume roads, then for loading and everything else, we can accommodate those standards.
Correct. It meets the criteria for AT low volume bridges, correct? Thanks, Ron.
Yes, that's right, Frank. Yeah.
Another one for you, gents. How many have been installed through the Alberta counties? So I guess how many bridge in a boxes have been put into Alberta?
In Alberta, unfortunately, yeah, we've just got one installation, but I know of several in BC. And Ron, you can comment probably on Saskatchewan and Manitoba, I would think.
Yeah. So yeah, in Saskatchewan, we've got the 3 in Saskatchewan, 1 in Manitoba, and 2 in all places, Nunavut. So we shipped this up by barge, and they're being installed in the summer short construction season. So, and those ones have bin wall type abutments as well. So these are the type of applications that really are suitable for this type of project or product.
Perfect. What is the oldest bridge in a box you have out there as a test case? So I know you mentioned the one in Alberta, but I guess throughout Canada.
Yeah, there's a good question. Probably, I mean, we've had this product here for about 5 years now, Frank, something like that. So
yeah, 5 or 6. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I say, we designed to Canadian Highway Bridge Design standards, and we meet the criteria for Alberta Transportation. So, we may not have a lot of older installations, but the criteria and standards we meet do comply with these standards.
Perfect. I guess this is one for me and you. Can RMA provide location of some installs if someone wanted to see or get a reference for the projects that have been completed? Is that something you guys can provide?
Yeah,
absolutely. There is definitely one in the MDS River, and I can absolutely provide that information after this webinar.
Can also provide some others outside of Alberta and those locations, and even a name for you to talk to speak with as well as a reference if you want.
Perfect. Yeah, and we would be more if we receive them from RMA, we'll be more than happy to share them out to the membership. So, and then the last one in the question box here is, can we receive a copy of this presentation, and can we also receive contacts for those municipalities that have undertaken a bridge in a box? So yeah, we just answered that last part. Yes, we will get those references for you folks, and then have them to call upon. And the presentation is being recorded, so we will be posting it to the RMA website, so you can go there. It's under the webinars section, and it has our previous webinar that we've done as well from the Napa one we did in January there. So moving forward, we are going to be keeping recording and posting them monthly, so we can go back and use as reference. So perfect. So that was our last question.
Okay.
I think Frank, Ron, anything else you'd like to add before we wrap things up?
No, just thank you for the opportunity again, Tyler, and thank you to everyone on the call who attended today.
No, I'm good. Thanks, Tyler.
Perfect. Well, just to wrap things up, again, thank you to our presenters. Thanks, Frank. Thanks, Ron. Thank you for everybody for taking the time out of your day to come on to the webinar. Hopefully you got some new information and learned something new today about the bridge in a box. We look forward to keep highlighting our vendor partners and bringing them to your attention as we move through the year. Just on the COVID note and some more RMA operations, we are, hoping to get out there and visit our members here shortly. So as restrictions continue to ease, we'll be looking to do that. But we are able to connect virtually, phone, email. Ryan, myself, and Jared Uterhagen are all available pretty much at any time. We're at our desks. So, and I'm sure Frank and Ron feel the same way from the Armtec side of it a bit as well. So. Again, I guess, if there's no more questions I see coming through, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and stay safe, everybody.